Welcome to the Blue Falcon podcast. I'm Bobby Stegall. I'm joined today with one of my favorite comedians. I've been following him for over 7 years. I heard about him from Bill Burr's Monday morning podcast. I listened to him with Bill as they're about to go on tour. And I said, I got to see this guy and Bill. And luckily, I was stationed in Clarksville, Tennessee. And Paul Virzi, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I sincerely, really appreciate it, dude.
Oh man, thanks for having me. And anytime, I'm big on the veterans, man. I'm big on the soldiers, and a lot of soldiers actually listen to the Virzi Effect. And it was crazy. I remember one time, like, this platoon, because I used to call people on the Virzi Effect animals, this fucking disgusting animal, these people,
Yeah.
And this platoon actually named themselves the animals, and each of them got an animal name.
Oh my God.
And they took a picture in front of their Humvee and in the mountains of Germany. And it said the animals and all this stuff. And when I realized that there were soldiers stationed all over the world listening to my dumb ass and listening to me talk shit, I was it really meant a lot, because I'm a and it's so funny too, how comedians always joke, yeah, fucking give it up for the soldiers is so easy, give it up for even
it's easy applause, right?
Yeah. And I never really do it, obviously, during a show. I won't be but I was in San Antonio and there were a ton of soldiers, and I'm I'm not going to not do that because it's some stupid thing. And I understand sometimes it can make soldiers uncomfortable, but a reason why I said yes to doing this podcast was, you were very gracious when you reached out to me. And I know you reached out to me for a while, and I never like to ignore people. But the veteran thing is something that, yeah, man, you guys are the shit.
Well, I sincerely appreciate it. And for me, whenever I was in the military, I started listening to the Monday morning podcast, I think in 2011 or 2012. And after a long day of what we call embracing the suck, embrace the suck, today's going to suck.
Yeah.
Listening to some comedy, I was like, man, this is really therapeutic. And I agree with some of this bullshit. We kind of just have that mantra of don't really care what anyone thinks about us. We're going to be who we are, and this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
So I think there's some kind of relative mindset there.
Yeah, and I agree. By the way, I apologize for the green screen behind me. I know it looks like I'm fucking the Taliban's got me, and they're fucking making me make a video here.
Blake twice if you're in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah. This whole computer thing and virtual screens, this is actually a screen that I've used for some backgrounds, but you know what? Fuck it. It's green. It's military.
Hey, yeah, this is part of the podcast. We planned this out. It wasn't an accident at all.
But no, man, it's cool. Dude, there have been people telling me they've gone into really hostile situations in military stuff listening to my podcast. And I'm just going what? And
I can see that.
I just watched this movie, actually. I just watched this movie about that, and you probably know about it, that where the my God, what was it called, man? The soldiers were in a valley in Afghanistan, but they were sitting ducks because the Taliban had the higher ground, and they would just be shot
just
at.
Came out, didn't it?
Yeah, Outpost.
Okay, yeah, I still need to see that one.
It was called Outpost, and it was
stuff.
a few dozen. It was literally a few dozen American soldiers, and they're just sitting in this post, but they're in a valley, and in the mountains of Afghanistan, the Taliban are clearly looking down on them and shooting at them randomly, and then finally, dude, one day they just fucking see hundreds of them running. And these fucking dudes, the calm of it, calm of it. Dude, I get nervous if there's turbulence on the way to Florida on a fucking JetBlue flight.
Yeah, get this guy on the front lines. I feel like it's going to be okay, right?
Yo, I'm fucking nervous if a JetBlue flight is we're putting our seatbelts on and not serving drinks for a little while. And these guys are fucking calmly. I mean, obviously they were frantic because they had to get their plans in order in a matter of seconds.
Right.
But these fucking dudes, they fended off hundreds of Taliban. I mean, yes, unfortunately there were some casualties, obviously a lot of injuries, But and that's the shit that like that you guys do. And I know it sounds corny and cliche to say it all the time, but like the shit that you guys do, it's kind of fucking funny to me and ridiculous and also sickening to me that like we're more interested in this country in people watching like a superhero like Spider-Man or these people when it's like, no, let me.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's like we're so interested in watching somebody that like can fly or somebody that can like jump on a building and has this
Or
strength.
shoot webs out of his fucking arms, right?
Yeah, but we're not gonna watch like 2 dozen Americans fend off 250 Taliban, and then like there literally is a group of them that are alive at the end, and you're going, that's the baddest shit I've ever seen.
Oh,
So
and
I'm
these people
starting to
walk
get more into that. Yeah,
these people are at Home Depot shopping. You know what I mean? And which
yeah,
is another reason why you don't just start fights with anybody. One, because there's UFC fighters. That's a real thing, right? And and two, you don't know who you're bumping into. And
yeah, man. Like there's like
that's
true,
pretty funny.
like there really is true hero shit, and it's like, and that guy is just gonna. You could be online next to that guy, like you say. You could be online next to that guy when he's buying a loaf of bread, and he took out 19 Taliban to save a platoon, and he's just quiet and he's buying his bread
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
going home. He's gonna go fishing in the morning. That's the baddest motherfucker on the planet, and I'm sitting here rushing home to go watch fucking the Hulk.
Or
Fuck.
you're a big football fan, right?
I'm a football fan. I'm a New York Giants fan. Yeah.
I would call you a fan. You're a fanatic. You're a Giants fanatic.
Yeah, Giants, Knicks, and Yankees are my, it's like kind of my pastime, and I love just sitting down watching that. And the funny thing is, as much as I like it, I'm not like a crazy fan. Like when my team loses, I don't throw shit. I don't cry.
I find that hard to believe, dude.
No,
You're a very animated person.
listen, I'll tell you, when the Knicks suck, after it settles in my head that they suck, I'm just like, what the fuck is it gonna take? And I'll start losing my shit. But like during the game, I'm like, this is awesome, man. I'm home. I'm watching the game with my kids and stuff. So, but yeah, I definitely have this thing, and now even more than ever, Bobby, right, Bobby?
Yes, yeah, I think. Yeah,
Uh,
no, Bobby, yeah, we're good.
Now more than ever, Bobby, I'm like liking these like war movies, vet movies. One of my favorite ones is the one that with Mark Wahlberg where he played the guy where that goat
Lone
herder.
Survivor. Lone Survivor.
Yo, dude, that was
That
like,
movie is sick.
dude, like that, like five guys like fighting 100, and it's like shit like that. I'm just like, I have a real appreciation. So the cool thing was when I found out that soldiers were listening to me, and I was literally a day where a bullet could fly past their head and they can be killed. Me saying something to them is making them forget that. It's
That's
the
pretty
greatest
awesome.
thing. It's the greatest thing. I had one guy drive like 7 hours to see me in Atlanta, Georgia, and he gave me that Army Ranger coin,
Yeah, that's
and he
awesome, dude.
and he gave me that coin, and he was like, you're one of my favorites, and I was just like, wow, man, like to do that. So like that means more to me than a lot.
Well, I know that one thing comedians hate is compliments back to themselves, especially after they give one. But you're that type of dude that's you can listen to you rant, and if I'm pissed off about something, I'm angry. I'm like ready to bitch about something, right? But then you start bitching about something, and I'm listening to it, and you're making me laugh, and I forget about what I'm doing, right, or whatever's going
Yeah.
on in my life. I'm like, yeah, I'm taking out this anger, yeah, yeah, Verzi, yeah, guy, or whatever's going
Yeah.
on. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's relatable, so it's great, man. You're doing a good thing.
Well, what's really cool is like, let's say I'm having a bad day and my daughter is
or
upset.
or 2020. Go ahead.
Let's say, yeah. There's just some shit going on, and my daughter or my son is upset about something, and my wife is telling me to go to the store, and I'm pissed off about something that's going on at work. I just got off the phone with my manager, my agent. I'm upset, and I'm just having a bad day. And then I see a soldier be like, "Yeah, man, we were pinned down with 19 of them. I didn't know if I was coming home to see my kids," and I'm like, "I'm a fucking bitch.
Oh man,
I'm
yeah.
a bitch. Like, what am I worried about? Like, I'm worried that I gotta go and go get balloons for a birthday party."
Yeah,
And
heaven forbid somebody steps in front of you in line, right? Then it just your shit shatters, you know?
it's funny how life makes you really realize what your problems are, and in the grand scheme of things, how minuscule
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, somebody just found out they're sick and dying, or somebody just found out that
Oh
their
yeah.
son or daughter got killed in war. Those are the things that make your day fucked up, not other things. So the fact that like I said before, I don't want to repeat myself, but the fact that my silliness or ranting and this shit can make somebody be distracted. If that's what I'm gonna get, if one person said to me when my career was over, when I fucking hung up the mic and I closed the laptop, and I'm fucking not going to a comedy club anymore. I'm not going to travel on an airplane to go make people laugh in another state. When that's all over, if one person said to me, and actually one person did say to me, one person said to me, "Do you saved my life, man? I was suicidal. You saved my life." And I was just like, or like I was going down the wrong path, and you saved my life. And it's like, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Honestly, I did want to hit on that. And that's good on that person, whoever said that to you, to reach out and say that to you, because that takes a lot of, we're guys, right? Like my biceps are fucking huge, my dick's huge, like everything. Like we're men, right? But to be vulnerable and come
Yeah,
up to you and say, "Hey, man, like I was going down that path." So good, props to him, and obviously, props to you. And that's what I've liked you before. Obviously, like I went and saw you in 2014. I'll pull up a picture whenever I re-edit this of us hanging out. You told me I was the coolest guy you ever met. I appreciate that, and the funniest too. You said that. Um, so I have been following you. I mean, obviously for nearly 7 years now, and your latest special, I believe you talked about depression.
yeah.
When I listen to that, dude, it hits so hard. And I'll try to play that clip right now, and then we'll come back into this edit. But I think I had reached out to you a year or maybe 6 months before that special was released. So according to my math, you were going through some tough times yourself. Whenever I had instantly reached out to you, or during the time reached out to you and said, "Hey, keep it up," and I'm doing this, got out of the army, yada yada yada. And I don't want to waste the time to pull up the messages, but you said to me, "Keep going, brother. It gets better. Take one day at a time." And you're going through a hard time yourself.
I
And
remember
looking
that.
back on that, dude,
I
tell
remember
me
that.
how you did that. Tell me how you manage um, putting aside your own stuff.
Well, because I knew where I was, and I knew how dark that place was,
Yeah.
and I knew what I was in, and the fact that somebody reached out, and I actually do remember that. I
Thanks,
remember
man.
I remember about a handful of people, but I remember you saying, and I remember saying, like, it's going to get better, and you just have to know that. I actually really
Yeah.
do specifically remember that, but I'm not just saying that but like people, like when you're in that place, and then somebody's like, I'm in that place. I just heard something so fucking cool yesterday,
Shoot.
and it said that tough times, tough times go away, tough people don't. And
Yes.
and
Oh, yeah.
so it's like we're gonna be here afterwards. Like the storm may come, and in a weird kind of way, like look at those dudes in Lone Survivor. That was a fucking bad storm, and
Oof.
one of them got out, and the others didn't. And in this thing Outpost, which I really tell people to see, a bunch of them got out. Some didn't, but a bunch of them did, and they fought something off. And it's like you're gonna be here after that storm and after the darkness. And I was in such a bad place. And the weird thing was, and anybody listening to this podcast needs to understand something: depression, anxiety, and that dark place, it doesn't pick and choose when. People will be like, wow, were you going through a lot of stressful shit in that time? Actually, no. To be honest, my stand-up was getting the best it's ever been. I had really big comedians telling me, and people that I really respect, hey man, like this is the best I've seen you. Hey man, I think you're ready for a special. Like
Yep.
all kinds of things were happening good. And I was not sleeping properly. I was drinking, not like crazy. I'm not an alcoholic, anything like that, but like my body and mind were not being taken care of the way that you need to do that. And on top of having anxiety and having, some I'm susceptible to anxiety and all that stuff. So everything hit me in 2016. And dude, when I tell you, for 12 weeks, Bobby, 12 weeks of my life, it was like this clinical hell. It was waking up every day, no matter what time I went to bed. If I went to bed at 4 a.m. or if I went to bed at 7 p.m, I woke up in a full-fledged panic, anxiety, depression at 7 o'clock in the morning every day. Every day. Never thought I'd get out of it. Miserable. The effort and energy it took me to walk from a bedroom in my home to the fucking refrigerator to get a drink of water to survive was a lot.
That's
And I'm
insane, dude.
going, what the fuck is this? Like, and my wife and I'm calling doctors, and my mother had dealt with some things like this. So I was able to talk to my mother. So a couple comedians, Giannis Pappas was very,
Oh
very,
my,
Giannis is a dear
love
friend.
Giannis.
And Giannis was somebody that was really instrumental in talking to me every day. He
Really.
would drive up from Brooklyn and he would just show up like late at night. And I'd be like, what are you doing? I figured I'd come up, but I knew what he was doing. He was checking on his
That
friend.
motherfucker, dude. Yeah, it's a good friend.
Yeah, he was a real good friend, man. And just basically through love and my wife and my mother and doctors and just a handful of people, I slowly came out of it. And I remember Giannis even said, he goes, you're going to come back stronger than ever. And literally almost to the year that I started to get better, where I started to, I mean, I was actually, but like less than a year later is when I did my special, I'll Say This, which, became a hit and got 10 million online views and did
I
all
love
that.
it, dude.
So I came out of it. I came out of it. I never thought that I would come out of it. Like the thought that I'm thinking now, the fact that I'm upbeat now and I'm talking to you on a podcast and I'm in the moment and I'm
Yeah, that's
enjoying
great.
myself. Right. The thought of that when I was laying in bed in that darkness was so like, will I ever get back to this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Man, thank you for sharing that, man. Have you found that not necessarily just comedians, but other people in your life that are, how do I put this? People that have to sell themselves, right? The pressure's on them to produce an income for their family or whatever. It's easy to blame other people. That's like the best thing about the military is like if you don't get promoted, you can blame the system.
Yeah.
But whenever I got out of the military, I got out in a really terrible way. I got a DUI, guilty. I was about to go to Europe to be stationed in Italy for 3 years for counterintelligence. And that was going to be a pretty cool job after I get done for the past, at that point, 5 years defusing bombs in EOD, where I'm mostly training. But
No, I'm sorry. You're Army? No.
I was Army. Yes.
Army.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, sir. So I went from a point of view where I had the ability, and I did, definitely guilty of it, blame the system for getting rid of a good soldier. Like the system isn't fair to me. And then I got out and everything was now my own. And that's kind of like when I reached out to you more, we started talking more. So your words to me were very, very important. I remember geeking out. I was like, oh my gosh, Paul Virzi sent me a message back. I was with my friends. And it's scary to go from a system, which the next paycheck's going to be there, no matter what's going on, to being in a world where I could have gone and worked for corporate America and got that city paycheck somehow, some way. But that's not me. I'm an entrepreneur, and I consider comedians entrepreneurs. So do you find that people who have that entrepreneur mindset, that, I'm going to sell myself kind of mindset, suffer with depression very much? Do you have like friends that have done this before, gone through this, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody goes through it in a different way. Like my way was this weird 3-month period that I think was just leading up. I think it was like a snowball. And then I
Okay.
think it just was going down a too steep hill and it was just gonna go and go until, then I think there's some people that live with a fraction of it always, which is
Mm.
hell, which is
Dude,
hell.
I wouldn't want that. Yeah, I can't
No,
do that.
like that, it's almost like I
No.
went through it. I went through a hard time. I talked to doctors. I figured it out. Now, when I feel something creeping up, I'm like, you know what? You got to get your fucking sleep. You got to relax. I would suggest to people like don't use substances to kind of put a Band-Aid on it. Like a lot of people start feeling something coming on.
Guilty.
Yeah, like people start feeling something coming on, and it's easy to drown it in booze. It's easy, but that's weaker.
Yeah.
That's a weaker game. That's a weakness, because if you can sit in it sober, sit in the fucking pain sober, dude, I think, and talk it out and really realize what's going on, instead of being like, fuck him, I'm going to drink a 12-pack tonight, or I'm going to get a bottle of whiskey, I'm going to drink this shit, I'm going to wake up feeling like shit tomorrow until this is over.
I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be, that's a Band-Aid. That's not like, you know, where I think like you really need like a surgery and then a fucking, you know, a sewing up and to really fucking to get that out. So yeah, you know, I know people that have it. I think some people don't realize they have it, so they just kind of live the way they're going to live and just make excuses and stuff instead of really looking in the mirror. See, a lot of people, I think everything, Bobby, is based in fear, man. A lot of things is based in fear. So people are afraid. People are afraid to make it. People are afraid to not make it. But like, look at you, dude. You were defusing bombs. Think about that for a second, okay? Think about that for a second. So you're afraid to go out to corporate America, or you don't want to go out to corporate America because that's not you. I shouldn't say you're afraid, but that's just not you. But you lose your military status, you leave that, and now you're like, fuck, man, I got to go and I got to fend for myself. What can I do?
Right.
But what you needed to do, and I'm sure you've done it since, is go, I was diffusing fucking bombs, dude. Yeah. Think about that for a second. You're worried about scrapping your next paycheck, and you're diffusing a bomb.
It's silly, right?
That could no. I mean, listen, I'm not calling you silly. What I'm saying is, if I'm just saying in retrospect, when you actually think of it, and you think of like that bomb goes off and kills you and some people around you, and you're the guy they're sending in to do that. You're the guy that was going to go to Italy and fucking infiltrate shit or whatever the fuck you were going to do.
Not a lot to talk about it, but yes, it's badass shit.
Yeah. So let's just say, like, you're a guy that is doing some really heavy shit for the military that not many people would do, and a lot of people would be afraid to do. And then you get out of that situation, and you're like, well, fuck, what am I going to do now? Where what you could have said, well, I'll be good. I'm going to be good no matter what.
Motherfucker, watch this. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? If I do get a corporate job, there's no bomb under my fucking desk. So
yeah, there is. Guess what? I know how to do it. Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So I look at it like, when people say to me, like, what am I going to do? I always said this to my wife. My wife has always worked full time, but I told her a long time ago, dude, we were like 22 years old and we were sitting in a diner in New York City. And, you know, smart girl, beautiful girl, went to college, high grades, could have done anything, advertising company that she was doing and all that stuff. And I said to her, look, if you want to get serious with me, you have to know that I'm doing this the rest of my life.
That's
and
awesome,
I said,
dude.
I could be broke or well off in my 30s and 40s. There's a chance I'm going to be in my 30s and 40s and just be getting by. And there's a chance that I'll be okay. But you need to talk to your mother or whoever the fuck it is you need to talk to and understand that I'm doing this. And
awesome, dude.
I don't want to. And it was one of the smartest things I've ever done as far
100%,
as
100%.
The foresight to that. Now, my wife, always great. Now, listen, if I wasn't with my wife, I would have just been probably in an apartment somewhere. I would have got a car, run off to gigs, do what I can do. It didn't work out that way. It worked out that way where I work full time, my wife works full time, and we're doing good. The thing is, strong people, man, they're going to be okay. They're going to be strong. People are going to be okay. If you want something, I remember Michael Rappaport was on, Michael Rappaport was on Burr's, right now. Yeah. Michael Rappaport was on Burr's podcast. And he said something really, really dope that I'll never forget. Michael Rappaport said, I didn't go to Los Angeles to try to get into movies. He said, I went into Los Angeles because I had to be in the movies and there was no choice.
There's no other option.
It's not an option. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make sure that I meet the right people. I get into the circles I need to get into. Yep. I get auditions. I get an agent.
It's not a maybe, right? It's not a maybe.
It's not a maybe. And I was always that, like, when I dove in head first into stand-up and I said, this is what I'm doing, because I started to win contests and this is like before I met.
Were you against like other people who didn't know how to speak English? Because like you're not that funny.
No, it was, so basically.
I'm kidding.
No. So basically what it was like, I was doing shit. Like, I don't know if you saw the movie 8 Mile, but.
Come on, man. I know I'm white, bro. Come on. No, I'll see it.
I came up in like that of stand-up. So I would go into all black rooms, 200.
What?
Yeah, that's how I started, because those are the rooms, the urban rooms would let me in. So I would drive to Harlem, man. I would drive from upstate New York to Harlem.
Time out. Why were those the rooms that would let you in?
So what it was the mainstream rooms, which would be, let's say the Comedy Cellar, the Stand,
It's typical.
the Strip, all those places. You had to be known, you had to be established, you had to have TV credits, you had to be out there. So
especially during sitcom times, right?
Yeah, it's like, if you're going to be in those main rooms, you had to be established. I wasn't established because I'm new. So what I did was I would do contests. I would do a contest. I did a contest in the year 2000, Hudson Valley's Funniest Man, upstate New York. And I did that. And I went really, really well. It was like 3 months long. And there was a little controversy at the end. I ended up coming in second after months and months of a contest.
Would you say there was a conspiracy about how you lost?
I would say that what happened was
the Dominion was involved. Dominion voting system was probably involved.
Yeah. They need a recount. No, what happened was the guy who won, and he was funny, his kid named Vinny or whatever. He had a lot of people there. What happened was my friend, so everybody that was in the contest obviously had sections of the crowd that were for them. And I had some friends from high school that were drinking, and they started chanting my name, and they started getting all excited. And there's one person left. And the guy that was left was the end. And his people got upset. My people were being disrespectful. And then the guy who ran the radio station came up to me. And I'm not going to take anything away from the kid. The kid was funny, but the guy who ran the radio station walked up to me. He actually passed away. Rest his soul, Mark Cooper. It was Cooper and Tobin in the morning, Hudson Valley, WPDH. And he came up to me. He goes, dude, your buddies are going to ruin this for you right now, because they're getting rowdy and other people are seeing that it's disrespectful. And at the end of the day, I ended up coming in second. But you know what? It lit something with me. But then so I would go into New York City, and there was a woman by the name of Nija Wright. Shout out to Nija Wright. And she wanted to put together a team of comedians. And I was one of 2 white guys, and everybody else on her roster was black. And she put together this night. She called it Now That's Comedy. And and we all went.
That's a great name.
Now, yeah, but it was like Now That's DAT.
No, yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So she books New York Comedy Club. She books, and she has her fucking group that she put together. And I was one of the white guys, and I ended up killing. And then all of a sudden, one comedian goes, hey man, you're funny. Why don't you come down to this room? We got a night this. Okay. So then I see you. So now this is where kind of, it was literally like the 8 Mile thing, where I would show up. Dude. I would be one of the only, me and this dude, Bill Scully, this other white kid. We were like only literally 2 of the only white people. Then they had like one other, and it was just all black. Okay.
That's awesome.
It was, 150, 200.
How old were you at this point?
What's that?
How old were you?
This is 21, 22.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So this is almost 20 years ago, you know? And I'm going into these rooms, man. And it was, listen, you better be funny quick.
Oh yeah. Real fast. Or you better be
funny. They took a liking to me. And all of like some of the bigger acts in the city that were at those shows started to take notice of me. So I remember, dude, I drove from upstate New York to 125th Street in Harlem, and I performed, and they wanted to boo me off stage. They were actually nice.
Waiting for it.
They liked me. I did 6 minutes, no pay, but I drove an hour and a half to be there, because that's what you do.
That's what you do.
And
hard to keep.
Yeah. So like I just came up that way. And once I knew that, hey, not only can I do this, but I'm kind of good. Once I started to know, man, I could do something in this, then that's when I just went, listen, nothing is stopping this now.
This is it.
Now I'm going to see, now it went from trying it to now doing it to now good at it. Now let's see how great I could be. Let's try to take this thing.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time. Like that. That's a great phrase.
So what? How good I could be? What?
You're doing it. You like it.
Yeah. So you start doing it. Okay. Then you get good at it. Okay. Then you're like, let's see how far we could take this, because I want to get great at this. maybe let's see how far I can take this now, because I've already established, and people will come up to me sometimes and be like, man, you're natural. And I remember, like, I used to do, the first time I got on stage, I was just so thrilled I did something that Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy did once.
Oh, dude, I can only imagine how great that feels. I can only
Like,
imagine.
the fact that I just did what Richard Pryor and Rodney Dangerfield and Eddie Murphy and all these guys did, the fact that I did it once was
Yep.
amazing. But then people are like, yo, man, you're a natural, man. Or yo, you're really good at this. Or you can do this. And I'm like, shit, maybe I. And then all of a sudden I started to see that I had game. And when you start to believe, it's probably
Right.
like, I would imagine, Chris Rock always compares it to boxing. And I think that that's a good one. Or like, I always kind of, or like, even if like you're a good pitcher in baseball, right? If you're a really good pitcher in baseball, the majority of the time you're going to win, right? A great pitcher in baseball.
That's why the pitcher.
A great pitcher in baseball.
Done.
What's the record? 22-3.
Yeah.
Maybe 19-7. Yep. You're going to go out there the majority of the time and you're going to throw a gem or you're going to do something. There's going to be a couple of times where you bomb. Same with boxing. But I bet you when a boxer starts to beat people, right? Let's say he struggled a little bit, but now all of a sudden his last 3 fights he won, and all of a sudden he's looking at the tape and he's like, oh shit, I'm moving freer. Yeah. Right now I'm more comfortable. I'm not breathing. And then they probably look at themselves, Bobby, and they're probably like, yo, I'm not breathing as heavy. The game has slowed down for me. Okay, this is starting to get easier. Now I'm understanding what I'm doing. And then 2 wins in a row become 4. And then
easy.
6. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, fuck, I got a title shot. So
sign me up, motherfucker.
Yeah. So with stand-up, that started to happen. But then when I started to get into the mainstream rooms, then it was like knocked back down because I realized that I'm not that good.
I don't like the mainstream rooms, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that, honestly, between you and I and everyone else who's listening to this, so I guess the world, fuck the mainstream rooms.
All right.
That's how I honestly feel, because I've seen great comedians such as yourself battle their way through that, right?
Yeah.
To get there and then be knocked down and be on this. Rich people go into those places typically, like especially like New York City or et cetera rooms. To me, this is my own personal opinion, but I don't like how there's an expectation of laughing as soon as you walk in. Like, hi, I'm here to laugh, and if you don't make me laugh, like nose up in the air, kind of mentality. I got it that you have to do that, and you probably love doing that. I would love doing that because, especially when you're killing, and understand why you have to be good and established to get there. Because if you walk up there like, hey guys, I hope I make you laugh.
Right.
I'm Bobby Stegall, and this is my joke. Like, immediately, done, son. It's a business. Yeah. But I don't like how you have the expectation of somebody walking into a comedy room, and them expecting to laugh. To me, is stupid.
Right.
Most people should walk into a comedy room like, well, let's see what this motherfucker has to say.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Right.
So
yeah.
That's I don't hate the comedy rooms. I'm saying I hate the atmosphere. Like the downgrade, the down. I'm not saying that right. So I'm really nervous right now because I just realized that I'm on a podcast with Paul Virzi. The rooms that people don't know about, the rooms that no one else really goes to, the small venues, the places where everyone gets their startup. Those to me are the future of comedy.
Well, listen, I think that you do have some rooms that are snooty and some rooms that are like people get offended and some rooms where the people's arms are crossed. But then you have some rooms that are, like, I would say there's a few, man. Like, one of my favorite rooms in the country is the Washington, D.C. Improv, because they're just smart, but they're ready. They're into everything. So there are certain rooms that, like, you go in.
What's a few other ones? If you don't mind me asking, what else you got? Like Washington?
Yeah, well, the DC Improv is fantastic. I like Comedy on State in Madison, Wisconsin is great. The original Comedy Cellar in New York City, The Stand. those are rooms that like people do just want to go. But listen, man, I also think it's not necessarily the room. It's the political climate now.
Well, I was going to ask you who you voted for.
Yeah, was well, you
I'm
know
joking,
what?
I'm joking, I'm joking.
I'll be honest with you. I'm a registered independent, man, and I think everybody's fucking nuts. So for me, I go into a comedy club and I just want to make people laugh regardless. You know, like I remember when I did I'll Say This, it's funny how fickle people are. You know, when I did I'll Say This, I was making, I mean, I was in 17, 18. So when I did my special I'll Say This and made fun of Trump tweeting, there were people that literally took that as I didn't like Trump. And then people going like, yeah, I liked his special until I saw his Democratic
Oh
agenda.
my gosh.
And I'm going, Democratic agenda. And then
it's a comedy show. It's a comedy show.
And then now what happens is with my new hour, there are some people that are upset that I'm making fun of some feminist shit. So it's like, I'm going, so which is it? Pick which it is. So on one special, I'm some crazy Democrat, and now I'm some. So it's like, and what that shows me is that people just want to be upset when it comes to what their narrative is.
Hey man, whenever you're not enjoying your own life,
yeah,
you want to find something to bitch about.
yeah, and that's there. That's very true. No truer words have not been spoken because that's what it is. If you're going to go into a comedy club and you're not going to like me all of a sudden, or how about this? Let's say you like joke 1, joke 2, joke 3, joke 4, but then joke 5 and 6 are against what you believe politically. Now all of a sudden your arms are crossed and you forgot the first 4 jokes that you loved me. Okay, so you loved me for 4 jokes. I just did 2
Terrible
jokes.
relationship.
Yeah, I just did 2 jokes that you're kind of like. So what you're not able to do is you're not able to put aside, hey, I'm at a comedy club, I'm having some drinks. This guy has different opinions, but he's a comedian. I'm gonna laugh, and that's really what you know.
He
That's
may be
really,
dumb as shit.
what's that?
He may be dumb as shit. Like this guy may be politically retarded, right? Or can you still say the R word?
Some people just are so ingrained in their bullshit and their narrative that as soon as something goes off the rails of that, they kind of tune out and don't like you. You know,
It happens to me all the time. Have you seen the shirt, by the way?
No, what does that say?
Shirt. Defund the media.
There you go.
My mom made this for me, and my mom, bless her heart, is she's an instrumental part of my life. Like she read books to me as a child when I went to sleep at night. Like the stay-at-home mom who, whenever we were older, have 3 older brothers. She would, went off and did her own thing again. But she was actually a big instrumental part on creating like music video shows. In Nashville, she had the Beach Boys on, and she had her own like little show in Nashville back, like it's like way back in the day. And for her to make this shirt, and then, Bobby, you want one? And I'm like, Mom, it's pink. First off,
yeah.
And second off, hell yeah, I would love that shirt like that. And I've actually had more people say, hey, are you selling that shirt? Like, I would love to buy that shirt. I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty cool shirt. And then I'm not even messing with you, Paul. Like over the past 6 months, probably over 50 people of the range of stereotypes from a black person who is wearing a baseball cap that everyone would be like, oh, that guy's a gangster, to the sweet old lady at the grocery store who's like 80 years old. That range of people are like, yeah, I support that. Yeah, bullshit. This is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, because people know. Listen, man, you don't have to be on a political side to know. That's the thing. You don't have to be left or right to, obviously, if you're an extremist, listen, there's extremist and radical shit. But if you're a normal person, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, but you're just a down-to-earth normal person that has a different political view than somebody else, whether it's left or right, you're going to see that and go, yeah, man, that's cool. I get that. And that's the beauty of it. And those are the people, that the majority of the people, I should say, that come to comedy shows. The people, listen, the people.
That's why I love it. Damn, you just figured it out for me. Thank you.
The majority of the people are not that. So what people need to understand is when people get mad and freak out, even with everything that happened during the election, everything that happens with protests, you got to understand something. The media is focusing on a much smaller group. Okay. The majority of people, I have friends that are both Democrat and Republican. I have family members that are both Democrat and Republican.
Same here.
I have people that I love and I could say that these people are very intelligent, both Democrat and Republican. Okay. Intelligent, good people, good Americans that they look at the shit going on and they can agree whether Democrat, yeah, man, this has gone too far. And those people are going to come to comedy shows. Now, there is going to be some radical people on both sides that come to comedy shows. I had a guy in Cincinnati, Ohio area, that I was making fun of Trump's tweets.
I love it. Yeah.
And he was waiting outside to talk to me, not to fight me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
No, not to fight, but he was like, does this guy know what Trump's doing for the stock market? Do you know how many millions I made because of Trump? And I'm going like, first of all, I was in the other room, but I'm going like, the funny thing about that is never once in my act did I take a political side. As a matter of fact, I had people come up to me going, hey, and this is the truth. Same night, same show. Same night, same show. I had people coming up to me going, hey, man, I'm a Republican. And when you started talking about that, I didn't know where you're going, but you walked that line good. Then I had somebody come up to me, hey, man, I'm liberal. And you know what? When you did that, I didn't know where you were going, but like that.
That's so awesome, dude. I love that. I love that.
That's what I'm not going to alienate half the people. I'm just going to talk real shit, but
it's your perspective.
You are going to have people go, oh, man, well, that's this and that's that. And I've learned, man, I've been doing this long enough now, Bobby, where like, I don't even give a fuck what, I don't even give a fuck what my family thinks of me as far as my jokes.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten as far as I've gotten, and I have a lot of work to do, man. I'm not even close to where I want to be.
Hell yeah.
I'm just going to say what I believe, say what I think is truth, have fun and make people laugh with it. And if you get offended, man, you get offended. People are going to judge me. They're going to judge me. It is what it is. I can't change that.
I've never seen anybody who tried to strive for the next level and not get criticized. It doesn't matter what the fuck's going on politically.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's people that hate me. There's people that hate on me because great comedians love me.
Okay. So I'm going to a little insight here. I'm a huge fan of yours. And my girlfriend doesn't know who you are or didn't know who you were.
Yeah.
Never heard your stuff besides what I've had her listen to, which is 3 bits. One, the Trump thing, arguing about people with Trump and how Trump is the new, like, if you believe in Trump and if you're voting for Trump, it's the new gay. That shit was hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
Holy. And the next one was your wife holding the hand.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that bit right there. Anyway, yeah, dude, it's so great. And so whenever I see that, shit, that's the thing about those bits.
What was the third one? Was the third one the lightsaber or?
No, the third one's going to be the don't get in social media arguments.
Oh yeah.
Because we'll go with it that way.
All the shit that we talk about.
Dude, I'm so sorry. Like I get, one track mind.
But your girlfriend, she didn't know me.
But before that.
And people hate on me because of some comedians like me.
Thank you. So I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, Paul Virzi is going to be the person that, because I know how much the popular comedians, I say popular, you're popular. I don't, it's like talking to somebody who's way more famous than me about their opinion. It's like telling you, slide in a joke. Like, you should tell this joke, Paul. But when I see you on stage and I know that great comedians love you, I know that you're going to be a big deal, but it's not your time yet.
I appreciate it.
And when I see how you're progressively the same person addressing different issues, there's no way that doesn't win. There's no way that doesn't win. You're constantly being yourself. And to me, when I hear you say, you can piss off everybody, right? Yeah. I think a lot of people need to realize you cannot sit there and worry about what everyone else is thinking. Because I guarantee you this, that's not going to change your paycheck.
Yeah.
It's not going to change your love for your girlfriend or your wife, how you treat your children.
Yeah.
All that's going to do is like, oh man, well, I hope that everyone else cares about what I'm doing. No one gives a fuck about you more than you.
Yeah. People people are really jealous and shitty because they're not doing anything, Bobby. You know, you hear people, that guy got that shit because Rogan put him on. Or that guy got that shit because he got on that TV show.
Must be nice.
You know, Chappelle took that guy on, or, you know, Burr fucking took Virzi on tour in Europe. And it's like, here's the thing. Burr and Rogan and Chappelle and all these people, they see up and comers and they go, yo, that motherfucker I want to work with. So, but people are going to hate on that because people, you know, it's like, no, Joe Rogan saw somebody in the comedy store, loved him, loved what he or she did, and said, come on my podcast that has millions of listeners. You know, Bill Burr saw me when I was young coming up. He said, man, you're going to be doing this, this, and that. I believe in you. Chappelle, he saw some people, you know, it's like when, you know, the story is about Chris Rock is that Chris Rock's entire life was Eddie Murphy. Chris Rock's whole thing was Eddie Murphy walking around, want to be Eddie. And then what happened was Chris Rock was killing at like 21 years old at the comic strip.
That's insane.
And Eddie Murphy walked in and somebody said to Eddie, this kid, Chris, loves you. He's hilarious. You got to go watch him. And Eddie walked in the room, watched Chris kill, and fucking put him in a movie and started working with him that night.
Dude, that's insane.
So it's like, but look, man, we're in a time where people have a social media platform. We're in a time where everybody, you know.
You and Brian Regan, everybody listen to the Virzi Effect with Brian Regan. Y'all go through this step by step.
Yeah.
It's like watching a beautiful orchestra that's telling the story of what's going on with you and Brian Regan in that episode.
Yeah, if you guys want to check out the Virzi Effect, I just did one of the best ones ever with Adam Ferrara, but Brian Regan did the show, and so many people did the show. You know, Pete Davidson, Whitney I had all these people on the show, and we just listen. We just live in a time where anybody and their mother can go on social media and say something. They can get outraged, they can hate, but I do think for the most part, people are good. I think people have good hearts.
People want the best for people.
People want the best for people. And the majority of people have good hearts. And then unfortunately, there is this percentage of people that A, are not happy with themselves. B, they never got to do what they wanted to do. You know, you got to understand something. If you see somebody live out their dream and they're doing what they want and you kind of let yours go, it's easy to go, yeah, but fuck him. See, so it's like, I remember watching somebody watch an award show and they were watching a music award show. They were watching like the Grammys, or they were watching like the American Music Awards, the Billboard Awards, whatever it was. And all of these people were winning awards. And I remember the person going like, yeah, but that's not even good. You know what? I can't watch this. And it's going, oh, what it is you're looking in the mirror. Okay. You're looking in the mirror and you're understanding that you never kind of went after what you had. And maybe you had a talent in music. So anybody listening to this podcast should understand something. Okay. It's easy to judge people that are doing their thing. It's easy to judge people who have achieved something. And it's easy to fucking go at somebody that achieved their dreams when you're just sitting home in the shadows, eating fucking Doritos and drinking your fucking beer, getting fat, not doing anything tonight, not going out, not fucking doing anything. And it's like, you know what? If you think that guy's podcast sucks, start a podcast. If you think that guy's fucking stand-up comedy or that woman's stand-up comedy sucks, go to a fucking open mic, get on
out, motherfucker,
and you try it out how hard it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really, and once you know that, and you know that that's what's going on with people. Do you ever see what Sarah Silverman did to that guy trolling her? It was one of the most fucking beautiful things I've ever seen.
Okay, first off, huge fan of Sarah, but go ahead.
Sarah Silverman, some guy was just calling her on social media. There's a couple years back. He's going like, you know, you dumb cunt. He's just calling her, you dumb cunt.
Okay, that's over the line.
You know, you dumb cunt. You're not funny. You liberal, this and that. And you know what she did, dude? She went to his page and she looked at his pictures and she looked at what's going on in his life.
She's good.
And then she went to him and she goes, listen, man, I went to your page. I could tell you have some stuff going on. If you want to talk, I could tell you're not happy. And dude, the dude broke down
It's awesome.
online and just goes, yeah, man, my life is not where I want it to be. And I'm really, this and that. And I'm sorry for this. Like, and I don't even know if they ever reached out, but but once I saw that, and this is, like I said, this is years ago, but once I saw that, that's what really let me realize. Because what's your motivation? Think about this. If let's say you go to a Paul Virzi show and 95% of the people like it, but you're one of the 5% that like, man, I didn't find that dude funny. I found him offensive. I like to go home, open a laptop, go to my social media and say all those things. Something's going on with you, dude. Like, it's just like, you could say, hey man, didn't really love whatever. Fine, whatever. I'm talking about people that like really go in and try to do it. It's like, no, man, I sparked something in you. So, you're just not a happy person, man. You're just not a happy individual. You're going through something.
What hurts the worst for me, I guess, and that's kind of like during the time you reached out to me. So we got out of the military, started working for Penn Mutual, being a financial advisor. Ended up saying, and I will say this, fuck Dave Ramsey. I followed him my entire life. Fuck you. I'd love to have you on the podcast to show everyone how fucking wrong you are. That's how I feel. If you were wondering, I'm not holding back. But I'm a financial advisor wearing suits in Nashville, taking pictures. And I'm at that point, I'm out of the military. I'm on social media like it was my fucking job, because it is. I'm in the game of attention. No matter what happens, I'm in the game of attention. So I'm on social media, on Facebook, sharing what I'm doing that day, what I want to do. And I'm from a little town, Chickasha, Oklahoma. I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm kidding. So I go back home and have some meetings there with some friends and family, that I'm trying to get honest clients. I started the podcast 3 years ago, I guess, yeah, exactly the same time. And word got back to me that people in Chickasha, Oklahoma, were shitting on me, saying, "Oh, Bobby just thinks he's so special. Wearing a suit around town," which, by the way, I have like 10 stoplights. And how he has a podcast. He must be a big deal. And that hurt, dude. Like, yeah. I can't lie, like people I grew up with that know me. Like, I'm not trying to be famous.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do a podcast for veterans that, something that people can listen to and have fun with. I'm trying to be a person that people can rely on.
Yeah.
For their, family's money and their legacy. And all of a sudden I'm looking at it like, what the fuck is wrong with them? They're the assholes. And it really kind of like clicked, I guess a few months after you and I talked. So I guess my message for people is you're going to get more hate at the beginning, but it's a decline. I feel like there's more love the longer you stick through it.
And it's like you said before, man, if you're not getting hate, you're doing something wrong. If everybody loves you, something's wrong. You're going to have, listen, man, like, I mean, who's a great actor? Al Pacino, Leonardo DiCaprio. These are great actors.
DiCaprio is my favorite. Go ahead.
All right, so we'll use DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio is a great actor. There are people out there that fucking shit on him. It's just gonna happen. But I'm sure the number is a lot less than the people that like him. But there's people that don't like Dave Chappelle. There's people that don't, probably when Eddie Murphy was doing Raw and Delirious and he was the biggest star in the world making great movies and doing those two specials, it's probably like, Eddie Murphy, whatever. I don't like the way he talks about his family. I'm done. This is just life, man. So what people need to understand is you're never gonna, I don't care what your problem is either. That's the other thing. I don't care what your problem is. See, Sarah Silverman's a better person than me because I'm not going to go to you and go, hey, man, you're going through something. I don't give a fuck what you're going through. You're an asshole. You're a fucking asshole. And I'm living my dream. Okay. You know what I'm going to worry about, dude? I'm going to worry about my kids. I'm going to make sure my kids are okay and healthy. I'm going to worry about my wife. I'm going to worry about my life, my family, our health, our careers. And I'm going to worry about the shit that's important. I don't give a fuck if some fat fucking Missouri doesn't like my joke or is mad at me because of fucking, I got on a TV show. Like, I don't give a fuck. It's like, do your own fucking thing. Okay. Stop being fat. stop being lazy, stop being a shitty person, and go out and do something. Because you know what? When you actually have that sense of accomplishment and you actually go and follow your dreams, you don't give a fuck what Joe
Anyone
Rogan.
else?
You don't give a fuck what Leonardo DiCaprio. You don't give a
Yeah.
fuck what a comedian like Paul Virzi. You don't give a shit because you got your life. You got your shit. So, you know, if these people want to sit in their misery and do that, then let them, man. Let them. Listen.
Well, the pandemic didn't help. I'm gonna cut you off.
No, the pandemic didn't help.
Pandemic was like the year of like Dave Chappelle's Hater Club. Remember the Haters Club? Welcome to the Haters Club. You know, hey. Like I felt like 2020 was the prime year to have that episode replayed.
And I bet you a lot of people were under the influence, right? You got somebody sitting up at night, drinking every day. They can't go to work. They're probably boozing up and they get on Twitter and they're like, I'm going to talk some shit. I'm going to talk some shit. I have a platform now. I'm a nobody, but I'm going to talk some shit. And it's like, listen, everybody has something to offer. Unfortunately, people go in the direction of hate. And if they do, man, I'm getting to the point now, Bobby, where I actually feel bad for them. You know, you see somebody talking shit. They got 37 followers and they're just probably.
Hey, I only have 30 followers, so you don't have to be a dickhead about it, Paul.
But. You know, but no, you got more than that, right?
I think it's like my Twitter game compared to yours is basically like it's like me in high school, my game in high school, and then DiCaprio's right now.
Well, look, I just look at it like you're doing a podcast for soldiers, man. It's awesome. And I appreciate you having me. But yeah, I'm just like, life is, you're going to get out of the darkness if you're in there, man. I learned it yesterday. Tough times go away. Tough people don't. That was the quote that that was something yesterday. You know whose quote that was? You ever watch Shark Tank?
Yes, I do, actually.
You know the guy, Robert, the guy who sits at the end? He's like the pretty boy.
The right side, if you're looking at it, right side.
Yes, if you're looking at it straight, if you're somebody pitching your invention or whatever, he's to the far right. In his book, I heard his father. That was his father saying is that, you know, and I actually learned that watching Shark Tank yesterday because somebody went up and said your father said this, and it hit me hard. It hit me hard. Tough times will go away. Tough people won't, and that's like. That just sums everything up, man. It's like, just do what you love. If you're going through depression, you know, whatever gets you through it, man, you're going to get through it. You know, don't give up. And yeah, man, if you have any soldiers on this listening to me, you know, I appreciate, you know, if you check out the stuff, man, hopefully you enjoy it.
With some clips. And I know that's your outro.
Well, whatever yeah, man. I mean, I'm going to run in a couple minutes here. If you have anything else.
I'm going to edit this part out. I did want to talk to you about one more clip. I'm going to play this. Can I get you for 2 more minutes?
Yeah.
Your experience with, oh man, Patrice O'Neal. Patrice O'Neal had an impact on my life. I know you don't look at me and think that I went to an all-black college, but I did when I was 15 years old. You're growing up. Yeah, this is off the camera. This is off, record. But going through my life on a farm with all white people around me and going to an all-black college for a summer.
Yeah.
Not knowing it was an all-black college.
Right.
And my dad pulling up in a Lincoln.
Yeah.
Bro, I was one white guy and 80 black people.
Wow.
And they asked me, how'd you get here? I was like, yeah, I came here for summer camp. And they're like, oh, this is for like the inner urban area. You sure you want to be here, white boy? I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, I want to.
Nice. Yeah.
So they taught me how to sea walk. And I actually made my first friend ever that sat next to me first after I sat down at a lunch table.
Wow. That's cool, man.
At 15 years old, right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, you tweeted about Patrice O'Neal and his documentary.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is a lesson you learned from Patrice O'Neal and his message?
Yeah, well, Patrice was somebody that I never really worked with until kind of maybe like a year or so before he passed. What happened with Patrice was I was booked to open for him at a comedy club in New Jersey. And I was nervous because I know Patrice can, I've heard these things. So I'm just this guy who hears these things about a guy that can bust people's balls and do this and that. And I go there with my guard up and I just like almost like this fake argument in my head. Like, man, if he says this shit, I'll say this. And I go there and he's just this nice, kind of quiet, reserved, but like charming, nice guy. And then he goes on stage. I remember I went on stage. I remember the host went up and the host didn't do that good. And then I went up and I had a great, great set. And I remember walking off stage and Patrice gave me one of these. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget his face. I'll never forget it vividly. He just went like that. And he put his thumb up and he went like that. And then I remember like all of the shit I had about him, just totally, I got disarmed. Right. And I'm watching him. And he would say stuff that would make some people get up and walk out. And he
really,
yeah, yeah. A lot of women would get up and walk out. He was just so, so honest. Then fast forward, he's doing a show in New York City, and a buddy of mine was opening for him. Said, hey, you want to get up and do a guest spot? Guest spot's like 7 to 10 minutes. You just go up and I go, yeah, man, I'll jump on. Great. And then I remember going in the green room, and I'll never forget this shit, man. Patrice is, I may have to tell this on another podcast too. I'm sorry. But because this is fucking awesome. Like, this is a great story, and it's the only Patrice story I have. I go in the green room, and Patrice is there. My buddy who opened for him, Harris Stanton, great comic, he's there. His agent's there. And then D.L. Hughley walks in, and D.L. Hughley is sitting next to Patrice. And this is right around the time, it's like 2010, right around the time where Tiger Woods was going through what he was going through with all the women and all that stuff.
Right.
And Tiger had just done that public apology and shit. And Patrice is just talking about how Tiger didn't need to apologize. Why would you apologize? What's going on? And I remember he's holding court. You got to understand, D.L. Hughley is a big celebrity star at this point.
Yeah.
And he's sitting next to Patrice with his head down, just listening. Like, Patrice is holding court. And I'm just remember everybody like listening, and it didn't matter. The one thing that I took from it is it didn't matter his status in fame. It didn't matter his status where he was. What mattered was everybody knew he was the motherfucker in that room. It didn't matter that D.L. Hughley was it didn't matter that D.L. Hughley was this A-list like celebrity comedian. What mattered was people go, the real motherfucker is talking now, and we're gonna fucking shut up and listen. And I remember seeing an A-list celebrity just fucking like listening, and everybody listening, and that was something I took. And then the door was locked, and I knocked on the door, and I go, hey man, and the door was locked. And he goes, yeah. I go, yeah, man. I was like, thanks for having me. He's like, yeah, man, thanks for coming. And I go, listen, my jacket's in there. And he goes, what's it look like? And I go, it's like a pea coat, whatever. And he found it, and he opened the door and he handed it. And I go back towards the bar, and I'm just hanging out. And then he finally comes out, and I see him. And I remember saying, hey man, I don't know if you remember, but I opened for you in Jersey. He goes, yeah, man, you look familiar, blah, blah, blah. And I go, yeah. I go, listen, I just got to tell you something. I go, I knew you were good. And then I pointed to the showroom and I said, but I didn't know you were that good. And he loved it. He burst out. He went, aha. He laughed because I was basically telling him, listen, man, I thought you were funny, but now I see. And then I pointed to what I just saw, and I go, now I see. And he really, really, I actually really remember that laugh. He went, ha ha. He loved that I was honest. And then we talked and we took a picture, and then I never saw him again. He had passed away. So the cool thing was, I went from this guy who wanted to be like, fuck, you're not going to go at me, and fuck you, fat motherfucker, like thinking of all these things that it could be. And he happens to be this nice, charming guy. He gives me a fucking thumbs up performing. He had remembered. It
means a lot. It means so much. Like at that point.
Yeah, and it was just really, really, it was really cool. So the that documentary, that All Things Comedy, who also produced my special, that will be tonight on Comedy Central. I don't know when the podcast comes out, but
I'm working on it tonight. Yeah,
but it comes out tonight, but it'll be available. It's called Killing is Easy, the Patrice O'Neal documentary. So definitely check that out. And as far as my stuff, you guys could check The Virzi Effect You could check Anything Better, the new podcast with myself and Bill Burr. You could check paulvirzi.com for all of my upcoming dates. I'm going to be in Florida, Orlando, the 24th of March, West Palm Beach, the 25th of March, and then a bunch of other dates coming up in June, Salt Lake City, Tampa in May. You guys could check all that stuff out. And I will be making an announcement on my next special coming out soon. We're going to be another special in 21.
It's much needed, and I cannot wait to hear what you had to say, man. Paul Virzi, thank you so much. Veterans love you. I love you. You're real. You're honest. You have amazing stories. I cannot wait for the moment in my life whenever I look back and say, that was the podcast that was 7 years in the making.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you and all the soldiers of our country do. I think it is disgracefully unappreciated and underrated still. I have no problem saying that. I just feel that way. The shit you guys do is the best. And, talking to you is an honor, sir, and all of the soldiers listening to this. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Paul.